Hi everybody, it's Lene. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I have another summer project for you, and I'm using a fabulous paper pack, once again from hot off the press, available at Paper Wishes. We'll take a peek at this, but this is my prototype. It's just a really easy one-page wonder folio. It is 5 by 6, and I rounded the corners, and it has a page like this. It has a space here where we could maybe put a little tip out, like a little page or maybe an envelope, and then 2 pockets here, and then right here is going to be another little pocket. Really simple, but we're going to load it up with a lot of fun things. So here we go. Let's take a look at this fantastic paper pack. This is just going to turn this into something special, something giftable. Okay, something that you can bring along to a friend for her birthday. You're meeting her for coffee, or you could give as a birthday gift or a holiday gift. So we've got beautiful newsprint florals. I've been wanting to use this for a while. I think I've used it a couple of times last year, but this red one is so gorgeous. This is the one we're going to use, you guys. It's absolutely beautiful. It has newsprint along the border here. Look at these gorgeous flowers. And then the other side, wow, it's just gorgeous. It's got red roses in several different colors, peach roses, some pinks, and then some whites. It's really beautiful. So you're getting 2 of everything that I'm going to show you in this collection. Here's the beautiful blue one. I love this one as well. And then a beautiful yellow, golden yellow. Look at that border. And on the back. And this beautiful white one. And then on the back. And then we've got all these little cutouts, cut-aparts. On the back of that one. And then finally all of these little greetings and cutouts. And then you're getting one more of all of it. Surprise, we're going to use the blue one instead. I started working with the red one, and the border on that one being on the left was a little problematic, so we're going to switch it up. And as I tell my husband, girls are always allowed to change their mind, and he's come to accept that, so I ask you to as well. Make a drink of water. I think I'm getting a summer cold. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is very simply place our paper. This is, as I mentioned, directional. So we're going to place our directional paper so that is like upside down, turn it over. And if you're working with a border that's on the bottom, just flip it over so that the border is now at the top back. All right. And now we're going to score this at 6 inches. Don't worry, we're gonna write this down. 6 inches, and then we're going to turn this to the right and score again at 2 inches. Scoring on this is super simple. All right, so let's write that down. For your 12 by 12, you're going to score at 6 inches, turn paper, turn page, okay, to right. Score, forgot my C, at 2 inches. All right. So now, before we do anything else, I'm going to actually do some inking on this so you can see, because we're going to do a little cutting, and these score lines I can see are not going to show up as well. Okay, here it is. So we're just going to do a little inking right here and right here. All right, so where those scores intersect right here, we are going to make a cut. But it's not a normal just cut right on the fold. I want you to make sort of a little pie wedge, or like a V, upside down V actually, that's very, very tiny. You see that? There's a little bit of a separation there. There's your little pie wedge. And that's because when we fold these pockets up like this, and we're going to fold this over, I don't want these pockets getting in the way of each other, basically. All right. So once you've cut that, we're going to fold, just throwing things around. Fold your pockets upwards like that. So let's write that down. Okay, that's a little picture, like in geometry. All right, then we're going to take this pocket and we're going to put that on the left side. So we're turning it right again. It's on the left side. That's where the pockets are. We're going to do one more score. This is now 10 inches wide because of the pockets. Okay, so we're going to score that in half right down the center. Okay, and then once again, I am going to ink this, but only the part we're dealing with. Wasn't very much. There we go. All right, so right here, I got to turn this over now. Turn pockets to right. Okay, and then score. Why can't I get that C in there? At 5 inches. So now we've scored all the way across the 5 inches. We're going to take our scissors and we are going to cut right on that 5-inch line, right until we get to the 6-inch line. Okay, so we're cutting on the 5-inch line on the left side, and we're cutting to the 6-inch line. All right, so that's it. That's all the cutting and things like that we're going to be doing. So the first thing is we're going to now fold this part over. The bottom part gets folded over. And we're going to make sure that's got a really good fold. And then the back, the top part is going to get folded to the back, like this. And then this part right here on the left is going to get folded like that. So let's try that again so everybody can follow along with me. Your pockets are at the bottom here. We have this cut line here. We're going to take this and we're going to fold, basically just fold everything to the back, and then fold this in half. All right, remember we have 2 of these pages, these papers, okay? So I'm going to use the other one to make a little tip out page or additional page to go in our little book. So I wanted to just give you sort of the orientation of this one. So it's this part here, it's from the lower right corner, and I've cut it to, let me grab my paper. I've cut that. So this is the extra page. I've cut that to, it's 6.5 inches wide. Let me get my ruler. Okay, it's going to be actually 6.5 inches wide this way, for allowing for a little score, and 5 inches this way. Okay, and then we're going to score that at the 1/2 inch right here. And this little part, this little extra fold, is going to be glued in right here, right there. And let me find my glue. Before we glue our tip out page in, I went ahead and took the opportunity to do some inking on the edges here, and I used khaki ink, Prism khaki ink. It's just a water-based ink, a little blender, went around the edges to pick up this beautiful sort of foresty green. All right, so let's go back to where we're going to put in our tip out. Inked this edge as well. And we're going to glue it right here. So if we open this up, this is part, remember this is going to be our little pocket right here. We're going to tuck it right in there. Just a little tip out. Found my glue. Just run a line of that pretty close to the fold. Okay, and then just make sure that that's got a good adhere there. A little extra glue. All right, and then you might want to just let that stand open to let that dry on the seam in case you squished out any glue. All right, so let's talk about the little pockets here. I love to use a little circle punch. This is a 1.5 inch circle punch from EK Success. It folds down pretty flat. And these you can find in my Amazon store down below the video. And I'm just going to put a little notch, just like a quarter of the size of the punch. And I like to have equal space on each side. We're going to do that. Go into the flowers a little bit here. There we go. And then I also want to put a punch right here for the pocket, but I'm going to go ahead and glue down these flaps first just to make sure, because this one's going to get in the way of that little notch a little bit, and it'll be fine. Oops, I forgot this side. Okay, and now we're going to just take this part. Oops. It would help if you glued the bottom of your pocket, Lenny. Got all excited about the little tip out page. Okay, we're going to add a little line of glue right here to close in this little pocket. Stay close to the edge, but if you're using liquid glue, give it enough room so that it can kind of squish a little bit. All right, so now all the pockets are glued down, and I am going to put a little notch right here just so that whoever receives this as a gift can be like, oh, that's a pocket too. Woo! And then one more little thing. I'm going to use my new little corner rounder. Probably should have inked after I did this part, but sometimes I get excited about the inking part. And I'm just going to round these corners, because I think it just takes that rectangle of this project and it just gives it a nice little different shape. Ooh, let's try that one again. There we go. And then the cover. And then I'll just go back and add a little ink to those, and I'll do that part later. All right, you guys, so let's take a little flip through here. That's our extra page and our pockets and our little pocket in the back too. So now let's do some decorating. I think I'm going to add some lace to the cover, and this is just my little stack of lace I have on my desk. I get asked sometimes what kind of containers I use. This is a candle container, and when the candle burned out, I just dug the wax out and washed it. So you can make easy little storage containers doing that. All right, so I've got some lace. Which lace to use? And I think I'm liking the white lace to go with this. I think a strip here would go nicely. Just going to trim a little bit of this off. This is about 1 inch wide lace. Excuse me. And I'm just going to put a little bit at the top and bottom here. This is just easier than putting it all over the lace. And then if you're worried about fraying, I've got a little tip for you about that. And we're just going to kind of let that dry. And then what I do is I just take some scissors and I trim that even with the book, and then put a little bit of glue along that raw edge, and then it won't fray. All right, so while that's drying, I have these little flowers, and I got these are from Uniquely Creative. I got these at Paper Wishes, and the link for these are under the Paper Wishes link down below my video. There is a right side and a wrong side to these sometimes. I'm thinking if we just did a little cluster kind of overlapping like that. I also have, for a closure, I just took a gold paper clip and just tied a little bit of gingham ribbon on it from the gingham ribbon set, also from Paper Wishes. There wasn't a good blue that matched the dark blue. This one was kind of aqua, and then this green was too Kelly, so I just used the light green. And that can just kind of go like this, and it can hold the whole book together if it's getting a little thick for you. All right, so we have that. And then I have all of these cute little blue embellishments and things that are from 49 and Market. I just basically went through my 49 and Market stash of things I've had for a while and just pulled out anything that was kind of blue. Most of them came from Spectrum Gardenia. This is quite old. It's sold out just about everywhere. But if you can find anything from 49 and Market, I love their laser cut embellishments. They're fantastic and they last quite a long time. I've had this one for over a year because there are just so many things. So what I've got here are just some little blue flowers and things. This one has a little stem. So we're just going to alter some of these and then just kind of put it kind of among the white ones like this. So let's go ahead and glue this down. You can use hot glue with this if you prefer. Oops. But as long as the center is secure, I don't mind that the petals are kind of moving around. I'm going to leave a little space like they're kind of falling. And then we can just sort of tuck that one right in there, like that. I've got a nice little stem on this one that I could use. And then this is cute. It's just like meant to look like you could just hook it right in here and hang a little tag, which is really sweet. Maybe I'll add that. So I'm just kind of thinking about what to add here. There's another one that's got stuck in there. And I know I want to, on this page, use a 4-inch paper doily, and we're going to make a little pocket. I've done this before. Turn it to the reverse side of the doily, okay? So the kind that's a little more raw. And then we're just going to fold it down by about 2/3 and then crease that. And then we're just going to tack this to the front and then just put a little line of glue around that edge, and then we're going to put that right there. And then that's just a sweet little spot to add some things. We can put a little paper bow on here like that. And we'll come back to these pages. And for the pockets, so the cutouts that I showed you that went with this collection, I cut them down to 4.5 inches tall, and then I rounded the edges and then inked the edges. So now they can just go right in here. And then I've also got some of these little laser cuts that have green little stripes on them. I thought that was really cute. Just want to keep this kind of flat as possible for the dimension. And then I've got this one. This came from this cutout sheet. And if you're not great at cutting out circles, it fit my 2-inch circle punch. I just went over that and then I inked the edges. So I'm going to include this in the little pocket, and then whoever wins this, yes, I'm going to give it away, can have these little embellishments that they can add to. All right, so now I have this right here that I can add to the pocket. Just kind of overlap that. which I like very much. It's a different kind of flower, but that doesn't matter. And then with these laser cuts, you just want to make sure that you're getting just a tiniest dot of glue on those little pieces that are at the end that can get broken off, and then just a few on the stem. Some people get kind of intimidated by how to glue these down, and it's really, really simple. Oops, I need to move away from the fold, Lene. Just going to overlap that little lace pocket. Make sure this sticks out over that. There we go. There we are. And then we can put something like this. I think this would be really cute right there. And I'm just going to glue it at the top, and that way if somebody wants to tuck something under it, photos, journaling, things like that. Same with these things right here. You can just glue them down right here and then leave the end free for lifting up. There we go. All right, and then I've also got this cut out we can add to the pocket. Maybe this one, because this one doesn't have any of the blue roses sticking up right there. All right, I'm going to trim down some lace, add a few more things, and then we'll do a little final flip through. All right, so on the front, added another couple another flower, some of the leaves, same from the laser cut set from 49 Market, and we still got the It's a Sweet Life. Added these little flat back pearls. These are from Paper Wishes, and you get this huge amount of these rainbow flat back pearls, and I just added those. I just glued them on using the same glue. One of these little butterflies, I love these. They come in a little collection, little set in different sizes. So I just glued one of the large ones here. Here's a little small flower from that flower set with another little pearl. Okay, we've got everything here is the same. And then here I glued just one of those little tags right there. You could personalize that. And I thought this would be a great place just to add our little envelope right there. And then here's a smaller version of this large, oops, there's an extra little scrap there, of our large butterfly. Don't forget to just maybe add some little vintage photos there from your family. And then in this back envelope right here, I have a little library pocket. I inked the edges and just glued a butterfly on there. And then this library pocket, you guys, I just took that and put it through this embossing folder, put that right through like that, emboss the whole thing, ink the edges of that as well, just pop that right in. Right, that's just going to go right in there, and then you could add the little photo in there as well, close the whole thing up, and then you can just secure this with this gold paper clip with the little ribbon on it as your little closure. So you guys, super simple. The folding on this, the scoring on this is really, really simple, minimal cutting. It's sort of a one sheet wonder plus a bonus page. And as I mentioned before, I love to give my projects away to my subscriber friends. So all you have to do to participate is like, comment, and be a subscriber to Lene Creates. And then you need to watch next week's video for the pop-up announcement about who the winner is, because we use your YouTube username, and then how to claim your giveaway. You may have noticed that in this week's video that there was a pop-up. Well, that was for last week's video, and hopefully they will be claiming their prize. So let's see what else. Also, it'd be great if you followed me on my other social media accounts. I do new projects on Instagram and Facebook a couple of times a month. I also do sneak peeks on the paperback that I'm going to be using, thrift finds, things like that. And if you want to participate in helping me pay for shipping for our free giveaways, that would be fantastic, because as you know, shipping just went up. So it's even more expensive. So that would be great. We have a Buy Me a Cup of Coffee link down below the video, and there's also a super thanks that you can participate in. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I had so much fun putting this together, and I hope you participate in the giveaway.